Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Now, we all know that the party in power, in whatever country, in whatever place you want to think, the party in power wants to do one thing and one thing only: to stay in power. That's it. The whole purpose of any political party is power. And they will do anything. Now, for the SNP, they need votes. Obviously, votes is what gives them their mandate. And so they need to please as many people as they can. Well, where do people live? Well, generally, cities. And in Scotland, more so there than just about anywhere else in the world. Scotland's population is something like 90% town and city based, 90% urban. It really is. Now, what does that mean about rural communities? Well, they need a lot more help per capita because they don't have the benefits of urbanisation. And so a huge fund was set up by the Scottish government to help rural development. And this involved building houses because obviously it's very difficult when you don't have the infrastructure to get in and actually build houses in these small rural areas. So this huge multi-hundred-million-pounds plus fund was set up. And it was meant to go around into the Highlands and Islands, all the rural bits of Scotland. A few houses here, small primary school there, that sort of thing. Infrastructure and assistance. It sounds perfectly fair. However, and as the SNP know, there's not much votes in that. There's not many votes in these little small outlying places. And in some of them, you can just completely ignore them and it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But they do need the votes in the big cities. The trouble is, the big cities have got housing problems as well. What to do? You've got all this money to build houses in rural areas, and you've got all these big cities with votes that need houses in the big cities. It's a tough one, isn't it? Unless, light bulb, you reclassify Edinburgh, the capital city, and Aberdeen, one of the biggest cities in Scotland, a big industrial heartland there, and you reclassify them as rural. And then you can use all the money from the Rural Housing Fund to build houses in these huge cities. That's a great idea, says the SNP, and no one will ever find out. Roll forward a couple of years. Guess what? Go on, guess. You're right, we've found out. Ever since 2018, over £106 million of this rural renewal fund has been spent in the urban centres of Glasgow, Edinburgh, Aberdeen, and Dice, which is a little place just outside of Aberdeen, wherein Aberdeen Airport exists. And instead of being given to these far-flung little towns and villages and helping the people it's designed to help, no. It's been given to the places where the SNP expect to get votes. And Paul McLennan, the housing minister, has been asked by rural Scotland to hand back all that money so that they can be spent, where it's meant to be spent. Paul McLennan is declining to do so. After all, he hasn't got it. He's spent it. So, what is happening? Well, the actual governing body for this is a thing called Scotland Land Estates. And they're the one that are responsible for spending this money in these rural areas. And so you have this government quango is now about to take the Scottish government to court to get back the 106 million that they've spent in the wrong place and knowingly done so. Now, given, of course, the SNP's history of court cases, as in they've lost every single one of them, it's going to be another victory for the opposition, isn't it? The only thing is, the opposition is their own government quango. You've got this wonderful thing where the Scottish government is taking itself to court because of its own ineptitude. Bring it on, I say. But there we go. This is the way Scotland's being run. We'll just simply call Scotland's capital city rural and give it lots of money. And then the fact is they think people aren't going to notice. because they think people are stupid. And we're not stupid. This will be an interesting story, and I hope to God this goes to court. I hope to God Paul McLennan fights, and it ends up in the High Court and that the Scottish Government lose again. But this time just before the 2026 elections, just so people see exactly what's going on with them. Thanks a lot. Bye.